Hi, I'm Amy Delore for Washington Examiner. We're here with the co-founder of Moms for Liberty, Tiffany Justice. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for grabbing me off the stage. We had such an exciting panel, this Changemaker panel, and so many people are excited to meet Tulsi Gabbard and Sean Thierry, who just announced that she's leaving the Democrat Party. She's a representative from Texas, so it's been a really exciting morning.
So we're here at the Moms for Liberty Summit in DC, and I kind of wanted to go along with that. We have Rob Schneider, who spoke last night, who is obviously Hollywood, and then Tulsi Gabbard, who you just spoke with, and now you're saying this representative. How does it feel to kind of have not just conservatives and Republican movement behind you, but now this umbrella is really expanding behind the Moms for Liberty movement?
We saw RFK just come out and endorse Trump. I think what is happening right now is that Democrats are getting permission to be able to stand up and say some of these radical policies that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are promoting in their own states of California and Minnesota are not what American parents broadly overall want. We see that in the polling, and it's exciting to see that kids are going to be prioritized in America.
I want to kind of go along with that. Kids, suburban moms, how does this election, what is at stake for them right now in our schools? I know parental rights is a big issue that your organization supports.
Yeah, Gina and I just wrote an open letter to American parents warning them about what a Harris-Walz presidency would look like. Truly, the most anti-parent, radical ticket that the Democrats could have put forward. It is shocking to me, actually, because what I know to be true, again, is that a lot of Americans have a real problem with the idea of cutting off the healthy body parts of children and of disengaging parents in the decisions that they're about their children's education, their medical care, and their upbringing. So it's an exciting moment to be a parent in America, because I think you're seeing a lot of people coming together, and we don't have any time to waste. Our country is in real danger. We see that Americans are struggling every day.
So back to our summit here. Donald Trump speaking tonight at a round table with you. What are you hoping to hear from him tonight?
You know, he's a dad and a grandfather. He's a businessman. I think Americans have watched as he was on The Apprentice, right? He's part of our culture, and we're in the middle of a cultural revolution. And so for me as an individual, he's a culture warrior. It's so important, Rob Schneider talked about last night, for us not to shy away from the culture, to engage and to bring people in with us. So I just want to hear about his life, what it means to him to be a dad, and what he hopes for the future of our country.
Now, last night he did a round table with Tulsi Gabbard, and there was a moment, quite a few moments in the beginning, where he seemed sort of upset that he didn't know it was a round table and he was expecting to have a rally speech.
We were set to give you one hell of a speech. They said, no, sir, it's a town hall. I said, why doesn't somebody tell me this stuff? And I don't even have any idea who we're doing it for. I don't know, is it for a network or what? I see a lot of television all over the place, so maybe it's on all of them. They said, sir, you're actually doing a town hall. I said, oh, nobody told me that. I said, who's doing it? They said, Tulsi. I said, well, that's at least good news. I've been a fan of hers for a long time, I have to tell you.
Does he know it's a round table tonight?
So it's not a round table, it's a fireside chat, and President Trump absolutely does know that he'll be sitting down with me. He knows I'm a mom of 4 kids, and he spoke last year at the Moms for Liberty Summit, so he knows he'll be welcomed here. We have a lot of people that have joined Moms for Liberty that weren't very political. In the busiest time of our lives, we didn't realize that we needed to be running for office, campaigning for people, getting out the vote, right? So many people weren't registered to vote and just didn't understand how important it was to have their voice heard. They felt disengaged. Something's changing in America right now, and I think President Trump knows that. I think people are just going to really enjoy our conversation.
And comparing the contrast, actually, tonight the roundtable will be live, whereas Kamala Harris and Tim Walz did their first interview since announcing their campaign last night with CNN. It was taped. What do you make of that contrast between Trump getting out, talking with people live, and the Harris campaign, who, by the way, does have the endorsement of the teachers' unions? As you said, Tim Walz, a former teacher. The difference between the teachers' unions and the endorsement of the parents.
It's shocking that the teachers' unions would endorse Tim Walz, considering the fact that since he became governor in 2019, reading and math scores in Minnesota have plummeted. But union bosses lead to learning losses, so I guess it's not very surprising to see that. President Trump doesn't seem to shy away from any fight. And I think it's great that he's willing to answer all of the questions that are asked of him. You see him all of the time stopping and answering reporters' questions, and Kamala Harris won't answer any questions. I think the American people are going to grow tired of that. If you're not willing to answer questions, then how could you possibly lead our country?
And lastly, Mark Zuckerberg came out and said the Biden administration, FBI, and top officials actually pressured him to censor certain information during the last election. You've spoken out about this a couple times on Twitter. What is your reaction to this? And speaking specifically of school closures, taking that learning loss for kids and just the impacts of COVID. What does this mean that our social media landscape has admittedly been censored?
We know that the social media landscape has been censored because Moms for Liberty has been a victim of that, even a victim of Facebook. We wrote an open letter to Mark Zuckerberg at one point because our chapters were being removed from the platform. I'm glad that he's being honest about what is happening. We know that the federal government, the American government, has been weaponized against the people. The FBI went so far as to call one of our moms after speaking at a school board meeting. I actually testified before Congress about that. President Trump is no stranger to lawfare and the federal government being weaponized against him. So now is the time to fight. We need to stand up. 2020, American parents rose up. We had our voices heard. This is not a drill. We are on the cusp of a very radical possible presidency from Kamala Harris, representing a very small minority of what Americans want. And so it's time for parents to rise up again and take the wheel.
All right, well, Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
You can get more news, exclusive interviews at washingtonexaminer.com.